Previously on Nerds at Night, the whole finger's cut off. Only part of his finger is missing, right? And maybe he was already missing. Maybe he's got an injury. I don't really know. But I know that not his finger, though. I know that much. Looks like we're cooking with fire already, Nerdtectives. Let's get into this week's episode. But first, let's cut to a clip.
Wow, this really is much better.
How did we not hear anything?
She's a home decor witch!
What is up, Nerdtectives? Welcome back. So good to see your shining face for week 2. How is everybody doing out in podcast land? I hope you're doing great as usual. So good to see that you stopped by today. Hopefully I got a chance to interact with you in the comments. If I hadn't heard from you, please feel free to write something. I'd love to talk about this show with you. I'd love to interact. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As you know, we're here, week 2, episode 4. But what are we talking about? Well, today we're talking all about, as if you didn't know, we're talking about that already in the title. That's why you clicked on here. This week's episode, did you feel it along with me? Was I the only one? It started off kind of slow. Like I wasn't sure where it was going to go. And then by the end, I was like, oh shit, I've got to rewatch this episode. Like I have to do this because now I'm like, oh my goodness. Like these guys are playing 4D chess with our trio. Leave our trio alone, please. Don't be doing that to them billionaires. Like go live your best life. Stop messing with them. But also, dang, what a play. What a smart play. But how is this going to pan out in the future, right? Like our trio seems to be very resourceful, I think is the right word, right? Very resourceful. And they always seem to come out on top. Even if they stumble their way forward, they always seem to come out on top. So I know it was a bit of a beatdown, a bully beatdown in this episode, but I can't wait for them to get their comeuppance because those billionaires, they got something coming to them. You don't mess with the trio. Am I right? I thought this episode was super fun. A lot of funny moments, a lot of pondering moments too. And a lot of just like small little detail stuff that you hope that you catch or that you see. Like there's an interesting shot in this episode where like it's a cutaway and then it cuts to the building and like you kind of see Central Park, I guess. And then you kind of see this like flock of birds flying. And I was like, that's an interesting shot given that a lot of the season so kind of got like a bit of a bird theme to it because of Lester. I just think that there's some like details that are here to be appreciated as you go back and rewatch it. You maybe you don't catch it in the moment, but it's so cool to catch on a rewatch. You know what I mean? But enough about my thoughts about the review of this episode because we got a lot to get into for this episode. First of all, we're going to do a recap of this episode, a very, very small recap. And that's really only because this week there were so many comments that came in. I was blown away by this first week amount of so many comments coming in. It was so fun interacting with y'all. And because we have just this outpouring of comments, I want to make sure that we have time for them. The episode doesn't go too crazy long. I mean, it'd probably be a little long. So yeah, because we got so many comments, we're going to do a quick recap, small recap, get into the clues and sort of some questions that I have after this episode. We'll get right into your comments and then we'll go in, I think, to one of all of our favorite parts of the show, one of my favorite parts. We'll get right into the suspect board. But before we do any of that, just got to say the whole YouTube thing. If you don't mind, click like, click subscribe. And again, feel free to hit me with any comments that you have, any theories, any suspects you think I'm going to miss along the way, any funny lines or any funny moments. I want to hear from y'all. All of that in the comments about this episode. But for right now, though, let's get into the quick recap and onto some clues that I don't think a lot of people noticed. We start this episode by getting introduced to the billionaires through different forms of media, and our crew manages to escape the casino unnoticed by the billionaire trio. We meet a new robot doorman called Lester, and Oliver teams up with Vince Fish to make a murder board with some interesting discoveries. Then the crew uploads a preview of their episode as bait to get Jay Fluke to reach out to them. And Mabel bumps into her nemesis by the elevators and lies about a Wonderfi deal. The crew get contacted from Jay, who says he's coming over at 7 to clear things up. He comes over, but so do the other two billionaires. billionaires. After an awkward start and some trio razzle-dazzle, they all get a shared story from the billionaire trio about what happened to Jay's finger and how Nikki was involved with it. They then all leave suddenly, and afterwards, the trio gets contacted by Wonderfi, who wants to sign them. They visit the office very excited about the deal, and Mabel discovers the finger they have does not match the injury that Jay has. And before she can investigate further, the entire crew finds out they can't investigate the billionaire trio, as they are now the majority stock owners of Wonderfi. Let's get into some clues. In this episode, we get introduced to the Lester robot. How will this come into play down the home stretch of the show? Vince is back and says he birded with Lester. Should we believe him or be suspicious? He does seem to know a lot about birds, so far he's got my buy-in. During the Oliver murder board speech, it appears we find out there were 5 people playing poker the night Lester was killed. But who else was there besides the trio? If we assume Nikki was the 4th person, who was the mysterious 5th person? And going back to the murder board, Vince and Oliver have matched bird names with people. But do they have the right birds matching with the right people? They probably do, but let's see if we return to that. Next, we notice Thea is back in this episode and mentions her publicist is an assassin. Is this true? Regardless if we ever meet the publicist, there's something more with Thea that I think will come into play with this case. Next, we notice when the billionaires come over for dinner, we see that Camilla is wearing gloves. Is that something that will come up, or is it important to the investigation in the future? Camilla also says this interesting line.
The night Lester died.
Why word the sentence that way when earlier no one seemed to know who Lester was? Next, during the billionaire's accounting of what happened the previous week, they all say Nikki chopped off Jay's finger. They also say the incident happened and that's why they all ran out. But if they all ran out, wouldn't we see them on the security footage with Lester running out of the closet? Additionally, Jay says he went back to look for his finger, but why would he need the other 2 billionaires to do that with him? Additionally, something we figured out last week because we paid attention, but we learned by the end of this episode, that's not Jay's finger. I think we can assume the billionaires know whose finger was removed, but is there a possibility Jay is faking the finger injury or has a self-inflicted wound? What about this finger is at the center of this entire investigation? Next, after the billionaires are done with their singular story to each member of the trio, they all collectively leave at the same time with lame excuses. It seems a bit odd. And finally, at the end of the episode, we find out the billionaires buy the majority of stock in Wonderfi in an effort to get the crew to sign on, only to silence them. It appears the billionaires' game is to put themselves in a position where they're not investigated. But what secret are they really hiding? Those were all the clues I caught in this episode, but let me know in the comments what clues you guys found out there, if there was something I missed, if there's something you noticed that was suspicious, if there's something you noticed that kind of leading to a theory. I want to hear from y'all. You know I love interacting with you, and you know I love sort of mulling over you guys' comments and coming up with ideas that could sort of form an answer to all this madness right now, because we're still kind of early on. So like I always say, no theory is too crazy. But speaking of hearing from y'all, I just want to say again, like, I'm so just like amazed and blown away by the amount of comments that you guys blew up right there in this video. Like it was just incredible. It was just incredible. It's incredible to know that all of us get to nerd out and try and solve this and notice little things. It's just so much fun. So I want to thank y'all, but also y'all know what time it is. It's comment time. And I'm so excited because there's a lot of really good ones in here that have some really good points. So let's get right to it. Our first comment comes in from Chris Dumphy, 1073. I just want to echo the yay, we're back sentiment. Chris, we're back. I'm so excited. Thank you, man. Yeah, I think we're all excited to be back. A year is a long time, you know, so I'm definitely excited to be back. I'm glad you're excited to be here too. Our next comment comes in from John Podobnik, RMT. Dude, I was going to have a stroke if you weren't doing season 5. Good to have you back, man. I'll read the next one too, at Clue Documentary, and we're back. Great to see you sleuthing again. Shout out to my boy Jeff Smith from Clue Documentary. Love that dude. You guys want to know a lot about Clue. He did a Clue documentary called Who Done It? The Clue Documentary. I got a chance to interview him. Was it last year? Yeah, right after Only Murders. He's just a blast. He was awesome to talk to. Go check that out. Don't do that now, but go check that out afterwards if you want to like know some behind the scenes Clue stuff. He's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that movie. But shout outs to Jeff. I'm glad that everybody out there is so excited that we're back, because I'm excited myself to see if we can solve it or get close to solving it like we did last year. We got Marshall very early on. Like, I don't think he ever left. Highly suspicious. So just to shout it once again, I'm so excited to be back, and I'm so excited you guys are excited out there too. Our next comment comes in from Lauren Garcia. I paused my TV on the scene where you see a hand grabbing something out of the water of the fountain. It's what looks like a small bird toy. But when I posted an image of the shot onto an Only Murders in the Building Facebook group, someone very clever replied with the possibility of it being a bird call whistle. She even posted a picture of one, and after I did research for myself, I have to admit she's right. It matches nearly perfectly. I got to speak with Lauren a little bit in the comments, and she did send an image of a still image from that part of the show, along with what the bird whistle looks like. Take a look at it right here, and you let me know what you think. But it looks, I'll be honest, Lauren, it looks very identical. And I mean, how on brand with Lester would that be? Good chance he would have a bird whistle. Good chance if he was being chased, he'd drop it. What does it call a particular bird? What does it do? You know, does it work? I don't really know. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And it would make sense. Maybe it's something special from his wife or something. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the connection would be, but at least we have the answer that, yeah, it looks like it's a bird whistle. And if it comes out that it is, we can say for sure that, like, yeah, you were all over it very early on. So awesome for you. Great catch right there. Our next comment comes in from a good teach. I agree, multiple killers. Yeah, there has to be two killers out there. This does not make sense if there's one. Maybe it will with more evidence, but like everything I'm seeing so far, like there has to be two killers. Whether they're working isolated of each other, like one just happened to kill one person and the other one didn't know, but like they know of each other, something like that. You know, I could see something like that. But I do think there has to be two killers. Our next comment comes in from Carlita Arn 2958. Who reported Nikki missing? Yeah, that's a great question, right? Because like we know he's reported on the news missing in season 5. Would it have been his wife? I mean, maybe like she is looking for, but like why? Like she says he goes missing all the time. Like, so is he on the news all the time? Like he's just like, oh, this dude's missing again, bro. Put him on another milk box or something. You know what I mean? Like, what is the deal? Like, why was it so important, like, to know that he's missing? What's that tied to? And who reported? That's a great question. I mean, if I have to guess, I guess his wife, right? Like, because who else cares? Business partner, maybe? Oh no. It's a little suspicious. That's a great question, though. Our next comment comes in from Amara Blue. The hat has to have some extra blood on it. I think Lester saw Nikki being murdered. He was running scared. I think the crank is the key for some safe in the Arconia. All casinos have safes. The money next to each bird name has to be in that safe. Thea is definitely involved. We still don't know, who did Tim Kono buy the engagement ring for? Sorry, it says read more here. I just took a screenshot. My fault for cutting off what else you had to say. But this is some great stuff because we do know there is blood on the front of Lester's hat. If he was hit on the back of the head, if he hit the back of his head on the fountain, blood's not just going to go from like here, like around to that's not how that works. And I think if it was his hat, like in the water, it would have been all musty and all red, you know. It's just like there's splatters, right? There's a splatter. That means the hat was dried. And it didn't get further wet in the fountain, which means the blood's coming from this way, from somewhere. It's not him. He had to have seen something, right? Whether it's the finger instance or whether it's the Nikki instance, he saw one of the two, and maybe that's what had him running. But for sure, the blood on the front of the hat, it tells us, hey, he saw something, he was there for something, and that's going to be important to identify whoever it is that we need to identify with that. I love the point of the crank being a key, like in the casino, because like that could absolutely be true. We never really see, though, Lester going into the casino. Like nobody ever says he was there, you know? So I don't know. Like maybe there's a safe above ground that he knows about that's maybe in the ledger. That could be something. But yeah, I really like that idea. I'm just trying to put one and two together to make it cohesively connect. But I do like that idea. And I do love the idea that Thea's involved. I mean, you know, maybe Tim Kono was buying the engagement ring for her. They were still involved. She's upset about what happened in the building. She's like, I'm going to come back and, you know, I don't know, some sort of revenge plot line. I could kind of see. I do feel like whatever's going on with it goes back to Tim Kono, or it goes back to something that happened that we're not privy to, that we're not thinking about maybe, and we need to be aware of it. And like maybe she's been around. I mean, she knows the Arconia, right? It's not like, and I think what throws me off about and I'll bring it up now because I'll bring it up later, but I want to bring it up now so I don't forget, is it reminds me of in Scream 5. I'm going to just say something semi-spoilery, not who it is, but in the movie Scream 5, there's a character in there who the in-universe version of Scream is called Stab. And this character pretends not to know anything about the franchise and then ends up being a killer. So like, and ended up, you find out this character absolutely adored the Stab franchise. So it's like, I think for Thee to not be like, oh, I don't know what podcast, bro, everybody know about this podcast. Everybody knows about it, right? Like you can't not know about it. You can't know about the building, especially she's been there before. Like her not knowing about, I don't believe it. Her not knowing about the podcast, I don't buy it. And I don't buy she keeps like doubling down on the fact that she doesn't know about it. Oh, your little podcast. Bro, shut up. You know what the business is. So I'm sorry I only screenshotted that part of your comment, but so far this is incredible. I know I replied to it, but sorry about that. I'll make sure the next time to not go so fast when I'm screen grabbing comments. Our next comment comes in from Sherry7054. In season 4, I believe Lester tried to speak to Oliver about something very important. For Oliver had no time to hear Lester out. I bet Lester would have given us more of a clue about what's going on in this episode. I suppose we'll have to wait this one out to see how it plays out. Yeah, I mean, he did want to talk, and Lester, I gotta go. He always wanted to try and tell people, and that was just he goes back to the episode 2, right, where they're like, what was that thing Lester used to say where every time we'd leave, and it cuts to him saying after you, and they're like, watch your step, and it's like, no, that's not what he said. Like the level of like, I get it, they love Lester, but also at the same time they're just involved with themselves. I think it's kind of what that episode shows. Like, even though they're living their life, Lester's still around, he's still trying to look out for him. But our next comment comes in from Rachel Spurgeon 7905. So what if the cards that Sophia gave Charles were her cards? She used them to get into the casino and get the money, because it doesn't make sense to me that Nicky would be killed so close to the casino without his cards that he carried all the time. Or did Sophia take his cards after being near his body? See, that's a great question, because she says that like Nicky left him on the desk before he went. Again, like, so then it brought up like, well, who are all these cards for? Are they just for him? It has a map on the back. It doesn't need a map to know where the casino is. He already knows. He's there all the time. Are they Sophia's? Like that would make sense, right? She's not there all the time. She shouldn't know the ins and out, know how to find the casino, how to get into the casino too as well. That's a great question. And that, we'll talk about it in the suspect board, because now we have some questions to go off of even more in putting Sophia in the closer to the top line of the suspects. Great question. Our next comment comes in from Jordy Barguno. I don't think we've met the killer yet, and I believe the tech billionaire that lost his finger is a red herring. I still think Lester is a suspect. I can see what you're saying, right? Like, I don't think we've met the killer yet. But in the theme of murder mysteries, right, in the theme of this show, we are always introduced to the killer in the first act. We're never introduced to the killer in the second act or the third act. First act of this story so far is at least going to be the first 3.5 episodes. I'll give him maybe 4, but we met the robot this episode. He could be involved. Maybe he's on the suspect board. You just tune in. Let's see. We've met the killer already. I think we have met the killer already. And you're right. The billionaire lost his finger. Big red herring. I told everybody, we said it on last week's episode that like, that's not his finger. We got it right. It's like, nah, some people were saying that was his finger. I was like, no, that's not his finger. It's not his finger. Big red herring. Jordy, you're on the money right there. And you still think Lester is a suspect. I'm not upset with that. And we'll get into that on the suspect board. But let's keep that in mind. I like that. I like where you're going with that. Next comment comes in from Lucy C3681. First of all, so glad to be back. I think it's strange that the payoff for the card was so fast and easy. I think there's more to it. Maybe the code opens another thing, or there's something else hiding there. I feel like it's all connected between the rich people and the mayor. But I think the billionaires is a red herring and will become part of the trio and will be like their eyes inside of the powerful. Why would Lorraine give the ledger away? She is suspicious. Yeah, there's a lot going on right there. Payoff for the card. I think you're talking about the deck of cards, right? Yeah, it did sort of come and like Charles got him, and all of a sudden he figures out one's a magnet. All of a sudden I get it. And I think it's to move the plot along, and maybe they should have hung on to it for another episode. I don't know, but I think we had to get introduced to Casino quick. We had to get introduced to the billionaires quick. It was a nice plot device, but I can see what you mean. Like it went a little too fast, and that's fine. And I think you have to do that if you're going to use an episode like episode 2 to introduce us to the past. If they would have had 3 episodes where it's all present, I think they could have used, you get card in one, you get, you use it in the second one. So it's a good thought. Yeah, I do think there's a connection between the billionaires and the mayor. And I do think some of the billionaires are red herrings for sure off bat. They might all be actually, but they're definitely hiding something, as we know from all of our clues today. And as for Lorraine giving away the ledger, she is a little sus. I will say that, but I think if she was hiding something that was in there, she wouldn't have given that away. She basically sort of insinuated that like Lester has everything in there, a lot of details. And even if he's writing in code, like you've spent enough time with the book, I'm sure you'd be able to figure out whatever is in there. So if I think separately, she could be suspicious aside from giving away the ledger. I think that was a very selfless act to do, and something that we get to experience, Lester through that. And so does Randall, right? He gets to kind of carry on Lester's tradition through the ledger. So we'll keep an eye on that, though. I still think that's a big clue. Our next comment comes in from Gloria in 1950. I'm only watching on my phone, but it looked like to me there was pink color at the mouth of the fountain. Couldn't that be watered down blood where Lester hit his head? It absolutely could be. And I think some of the blood maybe on that side of the fountain got recycled. I think the body's been in there for a little bit. If we're to believe the flashbacks of Lester falling down and hitting his head, then yeah, like that absolutely could be the case where, the blood is in there. And if that's the case, then it means it's sort of been in there for a while. I'll need to go back, and maybe I'll cut it in here. But go back to season 5, episode 10, when like we cut to the fountain, because I do think there was blood coming out of the fountain. And if that's the case, yeah, it's indicative that the body's been there at least for a while, Our next comment comes in from Cabby Stevens 5167. Have not had a chance to look up the behavior of birds associated with the ledger. Lester referred to people as birds. I love that comment because that came up in this episode, right? Like literally, Oliver and Vince Fish got a chance to associate the birds to people. Did they get it right? I don't know. We may come back to that. But at least some of the work has been done for us. Some of y'all could have probably done the research and already matched people to birds, or at least try to make some connections. So I love how that was like sort of an open-ended clue. It's like you could do your research, or we'll give it to you in the following week. So what a great comment right there. And our final comment comes in from 117 Derek. Maybe the doorman did it. 3 theories. Doorman Lester. Lester was killed by Nikki because Nikki for some reason revealed to Lester that he was going to kill Mabel or the entire trio, maybe through a faked elevator accident. And based on episode 2, Lester really cares about Mabel since she was a little girl and protected her by killing Nikki. Could be. Theory number 2, doorman Randall. Randall is the killer of both Nikki and Lester, working for the mayor. The mayor knows Randall from the underground club when Randall was a musician. The mayor pays down on his luck Randall to kill Nikki because Nikki had info on the mayor that could sink his political career. And Lester somehow watched Nikki being murdered by Randall, who then chased Lester through the courtyard and killed him. Also could be. Theory number 3, George, the original doorman who trained Lester, then retired and introduced Lester to Nikki and the payoff money. But George may still be a member of Nikki's crime family and still does odd jobs for Nikki. George killed Lester in retaliation for Lester setting Nikki up to be killed by a rival gang. Having the doorman as a killer is a spin to the old "the butler did it" trope. Would be clever. I do like that. I do like all 3. And I think that there's shades of it. We'll get into the suspect board. I think there's shades of it that could all be true. Yeah. So like there's so much to unpack in there. And we're like this close to the suspect board. So I'm going to save some of my thoughts for that. But I really love all those theories. I appreciate everybody's comments out there. Thank y'all so much for reaching out. Feel free to blow up the comments again. I love hearing from all of y'all. It's really incredible to be able to just like interact and nerd out with y'all. And I love doing this part of the show, the comment section, because I'm a fan of also different, YouTube creators and podcasts and stuff. And if they have a section where, they can read comments, I love to see, oh my God, they read my comment, or like it makes me feel really cool inside to know like, dang, like they're looking at everybody and like giving everybody's chance to, they're giving everybody a chance to have their voice heard. And for me, that's really important with y'all. So thank y'all so much. Hopefully if I didn't get to your comment, I'm going to try and do some different names every week to kind of keep things spiced up. So if you have a comment didn't get read this week, go ahead and shoot me a comment. And then again, I'll try to make sure that everybody has a chance to get heard one way or another throughout the season. There will be a point that I'll do later on in the season, much like I did last year, right before the I think it was the last episode or so, just read nothing but fan comments for like an hour, and I want everybody I want everybody's voice to be heard. I want to hear from y'all and I want to interact with y'all. So thank y'all so much for making this first one an amazing experience. And let's see where we go from here. But for now though, you guys know what time it is. I know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it is one of my favorite times. It's suspect board time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our suspect board for this week. Let's go through what we have. So far, we have the mayor as our top suspect. I'm going to move Miss Ketchamilio as a top suspect, given some of the thoughts that we're thinking about these cards, right? We've met her. The whole like, hey, let me hire the detective and go find, the thing. It happens, and I'm not going to name the murder mystery movies because then otherwise you'll be like, dang, like I don't want to watch that one anymore because I already know what happens. Well, it's definitely a trope, right? Like the femme fatale characters, quote unquote, right, comes and they hire the detective, and then they've been doing it the whole time. Like they're the killer the whole time, So yeah, that could be it. Like it seems like kind of tropey, but like. That doesn't mean that there was just, that doesn't mean that there's still not two killers. That just means that we know one of them. But yeah, with the cards thing, until I get some further information about the cards and why she had them and we know a little bit more, I'm just going to put her there. I think for me, that makes me feel better. I'm still going to leave Randall at highly suspicious, even though I have this theory. It's a spicy theory. And I think maybe somebody said it in the comments, let me know who you were. But what if Randall's a cop? What if he's undercover? Like, and they are trying to crack down on the mob in the casino. And that's why it's a smaller and smaller amount of people. And like, they know that the billionaires are meeting there. What if the mayor, what if he's the fifth person? Oh my goodness. What? It looked like he had all his fingers, but so, but like, what if he's undercover? Like, and that's why he went into the closet last week and he just like trying to get himself to like, you could do this. Cause he's like having to like go through all this also without training and also make sure he's still in the building. Like they're putting a robot in there. He's still working in there. Right. But what if he's undercover, but he's still highly suspicious, like until further notice, till we see anything else. He's still going to stay there. But like, I had this theory, about him. It's just crazy. Thea is also very interesting because she's just popping up out of nowhere. And she seems to be Mabel's nemesis. She would know enough about the building or been in the building enough times to see probably Lester use that old crank as a weapon. Man, could she kill somebody? I don't know. But like, you know what it reminds me of, though? Maybe they're going to go with this plot line. Maybe her career could be tied to the mob. She blew up really fast. She stayed at the top for a long time. It takes me back to The Godfather, right? If part of the theme too is sort of mob ties and new mob, old mob, who remembers The Godfather, right? When like, I think in the very first movie, one of the guys, he's a singer. And he's like trying to get in. And I think he was trying to get into be a movie actor too. And that's why they had to take the horse's head from the producer and put it in his bed because like he wouldn't hire him. What if that's going on with Thea? What if she's tied? What if she got some ties to the, what I'm saying? The organization, I'm not opposed to that. But there's still something that like is very odd about her timing coming in, very odd about her not knowing the podcast that seems to be uber famous in this universe. Like if somebody's making a movie about a podcast and you're in the entertainment business, like you'd know about this, right? Like you got to. Like I'm not saying all movie people know about music people, not all music people know about movie people. It's like there's top stories that come on every week and every, you know, you gotta know. You gotta know. Like, you can't be that oblivious. You know, I don't know. But there's something going on there. She's still gonna stay there. Right now, though, these three billionaires, they're still saying it maybe because they seem odd. Like, they seem like they're hiding a secret, and they might be hiding a secret for either the who was the fifth person or the mayor that was the fifth person who was in that casino that night. That'd be crazy if it was Randall or Sophie, but I think if it was Randall, what's his name, Lester would know, because he knows who goes down. It seems like there's only one entrance so far that we know. We need to find out if there's a second entrance for the casino. Jeez. Because, like, man, these billionaires are coming in like and out, and like, you know, that people recognize them as they, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, you coming down like to the lobby, you coming in late, where, you know, grab a pizza, you coming in late at grab some drinks with the homies, and you see these billionaires just walking around the lobby. Like, what? I don't know, man. There has to be another entrance. That can't be the only one, right? I don't know. We'll see. But the billionaires are staying where they are, even though none of us like them right now. We weren't sure about them before. We definitely don't like them now. But they have to know a little secret, a little something that's going to take them down, and it might not have anything to do with these murders. So for right now, I think the only one that could be highly suspicious is this gal with her gloves. So just to shake things up, we're going to move Camilla to highly suspicious because of those gloves. She's the least likely of that trio to do something. You know, Bash seems very just like mechanical. Jay seems very just like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever, and like, you know, have my bodyguards watch me, or, you know, it just seems like he's just kind of living his best billionaire life and, like, you know, trying to do not too much, you know. Lorraine, I'm still gonna leave her here. Maybe we'll see her in the next episode. She has to be further involved, right? Like, they're not just gonna hire Diane Weiss for like one episode. So let's leave her in maybe. Howard, God, now he got a robot too, bro. He got pets. He got a robot. The man he's lonely. That man is lonely. And he's got a AI emotional support animal now, right? In the form of this Lester robot. Also, we don't know who's voicing it, but will that come into play? I don't know. And I don't know how that will come into play, but they're being very secretive about who's voicing this AI. So if you have any guesses, let me know in the comments. Next, we got Vince Fish. So far, his story checks out. He checked out last season, right? I'm going to leave him here. We did see him in this episode. And we put him here, even though we put him here before we saw him. Same with Loretta. But at least he was helping out. And he seemed to know some bird type stuff. Did he witness anything? I think he would have said it. And it's so far, right? The west side compared to the east side, looking down. I don't know. I don't know yet. You know, maybe he gave Lester that whistle, the bird. They be watching birds together. I don't know. But I'm going to leave him here for right now. Of course, we leave Loretta there. Of course, we leave our trio here. Let's move up Lester, though. Let's move him up to maybe. Because maybe he was involved with something having to do with either the finger or something to do with Nikki. I don't think he killed anybody, but like, he could be a little bit more involved than we know. And I hope not, right? But like, in the sense of protecting something, protecting Arconia, protecting Trio, protecting. That's what he used the crank for, right? He used it to protect people. I don't think he'd use it for any other reason. Rather, just go around hitting somebody on the head like it's something to do. Like, no, like, he would use that to protect. And I think in an effort of protecting something, some sort of secret, something, it got him in trouble. And that could be the only reason why you'd kill little old Lester. Also, speaking of Lester, I want to bring up somebody, and we're going to put him in probably not for right now, but like, there's an interesting thought that came to mind after last week's episode that I did. And I'm like, what if George is involved somehow? He'd be really, really old. Right? Like, if he retired, you know, maybe 10 years into Lester's career, it's already been, you know, 22 years, because they say Lester's been there 32 years. So 22, you know, the guy's probably already 60, so he's like 80 or whatever. Maybe he was in his 50s, but like, he'd just be a bit older. Like, you know, maybe they're bringing up Bash and his whole like longevity stuff because like it's helping other people. Maybe it helps him. that's interesting thought. But like, I was like, what if George is involved? We have to sort of include everybody that we've seen until further notice. Hopefully we never see him again and he stays and probably not and goes down to no way. But like, just, I want to throw a new little thread out there to get the juices flowing. That's how we're going to solve this. It's not going to be in the box. We've got to like start thinking like all these different ways, who all could be involved. How could they how could they be involved? And then finally, I'm going to put the damn robot. I want to put him in maybe so bad, but logic says probably not. But he's here. He's a suspect. You show up, you're going to get on the board, and then we have to judge you. So did the robot do anything? Did the robot go crazy? Did the robot's got little hands, bro. Robot could stab somebody, maybe robot AI goes crazy. Maybe the robot went crazy and it stabbed somebody. And that's why Bash doesn't want anybody to find out. The other two billionaires saw it. They're like, geez, bro, like nobody can find out about this. Otherwise you're ruined and we can't be associated with you. Now we're gambling, like at an underground casino ran by the mob or associated. We can't be here, bro. Like, oh my goodness, they have to cover this whole thing up. I'd be curious. I don't know who makes the robots, but the only person that we know talking about robots is the homie Bash. That'd be crazy, bro. This robot's been around here for a little bit. And they brought him out that night as like a cover. Oh, like, check this out, man. Check out what he could do. And then somebody does something with a robot, fidgets with it, or it just takes over, goes full Terminator mode. That'd be crazy. I'm just throwing things out there, though. I'm just throwing some crazy things out there. I don't know. Give me some of your theories. How do you think the board is today? Who would you move up and down? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments. And also remember, as new people get added onto the season, we will be sure to add them on here. But yeah, that is it from our suspect board. Again, let me know what you think. Who would you move? Who do you have on your top suspect list? And who do you anticipate will meet maybe that's going to go on there, and where are they going to fit? But yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode. Thank y'all so much again for all the likes, all the views, all the comments. Make sure if you have a friend who likes Only Murders and they want to nerd out with us, go ahead and share this with them. Let's all make some new friends. Let's all nerd out together. Thank y'all so much for having some great ideas, helping me solve this case. Again, any thoughts, any theories, any suspects, any clues, put them in the comments. I want to hear from y'all. Let's beat the number from this past week's episode. Even if it's by 1 or 2, let's beat that number. I think we could do it, Nerdtectives. Also, in the meantime, as we're getting out of here, follow some of the channels that are associated with this channel, Drunk Banthas, 9 Nerd Yards. They're doing great work. Also, if you want some more murder mysteries, check out my series, Whiskey and a Mystery. I've released a few episodes. I think I'm up to 10 or 11. I'll go ahead and put one at the end that I think you'll like. It's for the Murder on the Orient Express. It's the new one, but it's a fun show. If you guys are into whiskey, you guys want to find out more about whiskey, and you want to hear some great thoughts and reviews about the movie and who was the MVP in it. Also, you could find any of your other favorite murder mysteries on the Whiskey and a Mystery series. If there's one you want me to break down, let me know. I'm happy to go ahead and cover it. But for right now, though, thank y'all very much for tuning in for another week. Let's see what clues we get next week. Let's see what the show shows us. And let's see what else we can get right next week, whether it's a suspect or a clue. But right now, though, I am out of here. But like I always say, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, I do appreciate you. Take care. And until next week, I will see ya. Peace.